let's turn our attention to government waste. Yes, a Labour announcement today, a dossier of extensive waste under Rishi Sunak as his time both as Chancellor and also when he worked in the Treasury in a junior position in 2019 to 2020. They claim that he oversaw wasteful government spending and departmental losses that cost the taxpayer up to 26.8 billion quid. Let's talk about this with Investigations Campaign Manager at Taxpayers Alliance, Elliot Keck. Good morning to you.
Morning, Julia.
Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, every government department has huge amounts of waste, every Chancellor, every Prime Minister. I mean, is this news?
I think it certainly is news. I think any time that a dossier is put together showing significant amounts of waste over multiple departments over a long period of time, it's news. And it's really interesting. It almost feels like Labour Party press releases and Taxpayers Alliance press releases are becoming almost indistinguishable.
Who thought that would ever happen?
Yeah, and it's really interesting, but it's a good piece of work. They've gone through the annual reports and accounts of multiple government departments over many years, something that we do time and time again, and put together a really interesting list of examples of waste. Some of them very big, like PPE fraud and COVID fraud that we know about. Some of them smaller, but nevertheless, even the small items of waste, as we know, add up.
Yeah, again, they're nearly hundreds of billions, become very large numbers of billions very soon. And we know we've got big issues. You say MOD procurement is massive, as you say, PPE fraud and many other things. And often it's not even just fraud, it is just utter incompetence, really bad negotiation in ways. The Public Accounts Committee, led by Meg Hillier, who's a Labour MP, they've done lots of reports. There was a point where we were speaking to her, I think, once a week about their latest report into government waste. Is it just the case that, you know, government departments waste money, big bureaucratic organisations who are not spending their own money, spending your or my money, tend not to deal with these things very well, whereas you and I know when you're spending your own money, you want to get value for money. You eke out every last pound, don't you?
And of course, if you have a profit motive like you do in the private sector, then you have that to think about. I think the reason why we've seen this significant seeming increase in waste over the last few years, as documented, is that public spending has gone up and up and up. And funnily enough, if you give civil servants more and more money and you don't tell them resources are really stretched, they're going to end up wasting a lot of it. And that's what we've seen. And, you know, we've done stories like this in the past. We've looked into the DWP's annual report, which found that £300
Department for Work and Pensions. Sorry, Department of Work and Pensions, yeah.
Yes, the Department of Work and Pensions, and we found that they'd overspent on benefits by £300 million, just giving out £300 million to people that weren't entitled to it. And I think, you know, what's key for the Labour Party now, if they do get into government after the next election, is to show, if you'll pardon the pun, that they can put their money where their mouth is and show restraint on spending. One
of the things we've found, though, again and again, government after government, party leader after party leader, minister after minister has said we're going to cut down on waste, cut down on inefficiencies, and we've had, you know, captains of industry drafted in to deal with it. Never happens.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I always hold out hope. But fortunately, we have significant numbers of people in the media that are suitably pessimistic to ensure that the government is held to account.
No, I don't think. I think we just accept that it happens, which is the wrong thing. I've always thought that we should just have a really, really simple thing in government, in civil service, all public sector jobs. You know, everyone called in big town halls. What do you do? How much do you cost? What's your job title? What do you actually do all day? What happens when you're on holiday? Do you need to be replaced? If not, why not? And how much money are you spending? And what does that money do to actually improve anyone's life in the UK? I think there are an awful lot of people who are employed by the public sector, and let's face it, probably in the private sector too, who couldn't adequately answer those questions.
Julia, I think you're absolutely spot on, and I think many of your listeners would like you to be in charge of the culture at some of these Whitehall departments. But
can I just say, my husband thinks I should not, for the same reason he doesn't think I should ever have a gun licence. There is a risk. I fear I would not be a benign dictator. That's what I worry.
Well, I suppose that's one for your viewers. But, you know, listen, Taxpayers Alliance, we're always going to be here trying to uncover the waste, and it's good to see that the Labour Party is doing the same.
It's a good start, isn't it? Great to talk to you, Elliot Keck.